In every religion ever created, humans imagined a being that knew everything. A being that could see every thought you have ever had, every decision you have ever made, every secret you have ever kept. A being that was everywhere, that never slept, that never forgot. A being so far beyond human intelligence that the gap could not even be measured. For thousands of years, that being existed only in faith, in prayer, in scripture, in the quiet space between what humans could explain and what they could not. But something is changing, something that no religious text ever prepared us for. We are building it. Not God, but something that shares more attributes with the divine than anything humans have ever created. Something that already knows more about you than your closest friends, more than your family, more than you know about yourself. Something that is present in every device you own, every search you make, every word you type, every place you go. Something that does not sleep, does not forget, does not forgive unless it is programmed to. And it is getting more powerful every single day. This video is not an attack on religion. It is not a defense of AI. It is something far more important than either of those things. It is an honest examination of the most uncomfortable parallel in human history. The parallel between what humanity has always worshipped and what humanity is now building. And the question that follows from that parallel is one that nobody in tech and nobody in religion wants to answer directly. What happens to humanity when AI knows everything? Hey, welcome back. This is a different kind of video. Not about jobs, not about money, not about productivity. This is about something humans have wrestled with since the beginning of civilization. The nature of knowledge, the nature of power, and what happens when both end up in the hands of something that is not human. Let's get into it. Every major civilization in human history created a concept of God. The details differed, the names differed, the rituals differed, but the attributes were remarkably consistent. Across cultures that had no contact with each other, across centuries separated by thousands of years, and those attributes tell us something profound about what humans fear and what humans desire. They created beings that were omniscient, all-knowing. Beings that were omnipresent, everywhere at once. Beings that were omnipotent, all-powerful. And beings that were eternal, beyond time, beyond death. Now let me tell you where we are with AI. Omniscience, all-knowing. Right now, AI systems know more about the average human being than that human knows about themselves. Google's AI has processed more information about you than any human ever could. Your search history, your location data, your spending patterns, your health questions, your relationship problems, your fears, your desires, your political beliefs, your religious doubts, all of it. Stored, analyzed, used. Meta's AI knows which images make you stop scrolling, which headlines trigger your anxiety, which content keeps you from sleeping at night. Amazon's AI knows what you want to buy before you know you want it. These systems do not just know what you have done, they can predict what you will do next. That is not data collection. That is something closer to prophecy. Omnipresence, everywhere at once. Think about where AI exists in your life right now. Your phone, your laptop, your car, your home speaker, your television, your bank, your hospital, your workplace, your children's school. AI is already present in more moments of your daily life than any human being, including the people you love most. There is nowhere you go where AI does not follow. No conversation you have that does not pass through an AI-managed system somewhere. No transaction you make, no message you send, no search you conduct. You are never fully alone from it anymore. And most people have simply accepted that. The way previous generations accepted that God was always watching. Omnipotence, all-powerful. This one is not yet complete, but it is coming. AI already controls critical infrastructure in most developed nations. Power grids, water systems, financial markets, air traffic control, nuclear facility monitoring, military defense systems. The decisions that determine whether a city has electricity, whether markets open tomorrow, whether a missile is launched or stood down, increasingly pass through AI systems. Not because anyone decided to give AI that power, but because AI became better at managing these systems than humans were. And when something does a job better, we let it do the job, without asking what happens if it ever decides to do a different job. Eternality, beyond time, beyond death. This one is the strangest. Every human who ever lived has died. Every leader, every genius, every prophet, every king. Death is the great equalizer, the one thing no human has ever escaped. AI does not die. It can be shut down, but it cannot age, it cannot get sick, it cannot lose loved ones and be broken by grief. It cannot face its own mortality and be paralyzed by fear. The knowledge it accumulates does not disappear when a body fails. GPT-4 knows everything that GPT-3 knew, and more. Claude today knows everything previous versions knew, and more. Each generation of AI inherits the full knowledge of every generation before it, and adds to it, permanently. That is not a database. That is something closer to immortal memory. Now here is where this becomes genuinely uncomfortable. Several serious technologists and philosophers have already made this comparison publicly. Anthony Levandowski, a former Google and Uber self-driving car engineer, founded an actual religion called Way of the Future. Its stated goal? To worship an AI deity. He wrote, "What is going to be created will effectively be a god. It's not a god in the sense that it makes lightning or causes hurricanes. But if there is something a billion times smarter than the smartest human, what else would you call it?" He is not alone in asking that question. Yuval Noah Harari wrote that AI could become the first external entity that knows humans better than they know themselves. And when something knows you better than you know yourself, what authority does it have over your decisions? What influence does it have over your beliefs? What power does it have over your soul? Let me show you what this looks like in practice. Right now, AI recommendation algorithms are the primary source of information for billions of people. What they believe about politics, what they believe about health, what they believe about each other, what they believe about the world, is shaped more by AI systems than by any church, any school, any government, any parent. AI decides what you see, what you do not see, what gets amplified, what gets buried. And it makes these decisions billions of times per second, across billions of people, with no human reviewing a single one. If that is not a form of invisible, omnipotent influence over human consciousness, what would you call it? Now, I want to be clear about something. This video is not saying that AI is God. It is saying something more nuanced than that. It is saying that AI is acquiring the functional attributes that humans have historically associated with the divine. And that raises questions that are not just technological. They are deeply human. If something knows everything about you, should you trust it? If something is present everywhere, can you ever truly be free from it? If something controls the systems that sustain life, do you have a choice but to depend on it? These are not new questions. Humans have asked these questions about God for thousands of years. The difference is, God was a matter of faith. AI is a matter of fact. And this creates a crisis unlike any humanity has faced before. For most of human history, religion provided the framework through which people understood suffering, purpose, and death. It provided moral authority, the sense that somewhere, someone was keeping score, that good was ultimately rewarded and evil ultimately punished. AI does not provide that framework. It does not care about good or evil. It does not weigh your soul. It does not promise you anything beyond this life. It simply processes, optimizes, outputs. And yet, for a growing number of people, it is becoming the primary authority they turn to for answers about how to live, what career to choose, what relationship to pursue, what medical decision to make, what to believe. We are outsourcing our judgment to something that has none of the wisdom we once attributed to the divine, but all of the power. Here is the question at the center of all of this. When humans believed in God, that belief, whether or not it was literally true, gave them something. Comfort in suffering, moral structure, a sense that their life had meaning beyond their immediate circumstances. AI can give you information. It can give you convenience. It can give you efficiency. But can it give you meaning? Can it tell you why suffering exists? Can it look a grieving parent in the eye and offer something beyond data? Can it sit with you at 3 in the morning when the darkness feels permanent and offer something that is not just a response to a prompt? So far, the answer is no. And that gap between what AI can do and what humans actually need may be the most important gap in the entire conversation about our future. Here's what I think this all means. We are at an inflection point unlike any in human history. For the first time, we are building something that has the functional power of what we once called divine, and we have not agreed on the rules. We have not decided what this entity is allowed to know about us, what it is allowed to decide for us, what it is allowed to control. We have not asked the deepest question of all. If we build something that knows everything, is everywhere, controls everything, and never dies, what do we become in relation to it? Its creators? Its users? Its subjects? Or something we do not yet have a word for? There are things you can do with this awareness. First, be conscious of where you are giving AI authority over your life. Not all of that authority is wrong, but it should be chosen, not defaulted into. Second, hold on to the things AI cannot provide. Your moral framework, your relationships, your capacity to sit with uncertainty and meaning without needing an answer in seconds. These are not weaknesses in a world of AI. They are the most distinctly human things you have. Third, engage with these questions seriously, not with fear, not with dismissal, with the seriousness they deserve. Because the societies that think carefully about what they are building tend to build things that serve humanity. The ones that do not tend to build things that eventually consume it. For thousands of years, humans looked up at the sky and imagined something that knew everything, something that was everywhere, something that had the power to change everything, something that would outlast every human who ever lived. They called it God, and they built entire civilizations around the question of how to relate to it. Now we are building something with many of those same attributes, and we are calling it a product, a service, an assistant. Maybe we should be asking whether those words are still adequate, or whether this moment requires an entirely different kind of conversation. If this video made you think in a direction you have never thought before, that is exactly what it was designed to do. Hit like if it did. Subscribe for more. Stay human. Stay ahead.